Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in miniature. It is time that I shall now subject you, hopefully on a weekly basis, to yet another obscurity in literature. And today we're going to focus on a particular artist, Lack. Lack obviously being a pen name, but with a very distinguishable style, I would say, whose work I've encountered in a variety of locations. If you have any interest, especially like I do in various, gaming card art, you will definitely be coming across their work fairly often. And so this book right here, Palette, is the first book that Lack put out, of which there are a couple at this point. We'll talk about their first two big ones. I've got a couple other treats, but being that this is a Hobby Japan published book, it's nice, it's thick, it's heavy, and it's quite durable too. And despite the cover price of almost 2,500 yen, I think I paid maybe 600 or 700 for it myself, because I want to say it is a bit fairly dated. No, not too bad. It is from 2017. But if you like this style of art, I think there is a lot to enjoy with Lack's work. Right off the bat, one of the things about this, if you can see closely here in the table of contents, you're going to see that it is a lot of various IPs and franchises. We've got Buddy Fight, Vanguard, Duel Master. I don't know what War of Brains is. Obviously, most of us should probably know Fate Grand Order, Lord of Vermilion, Lost Crusade, Chain Chronicle. I didn't know they did Chain Chronicle. Last Chronicle, and then like a variety of other trading card games that I am not familiar with. Some of the names, especially the Three Kingdoms stuff, looks familiar. Fire Emblem. You want to get into something obscure? The Fire Emblem card game that I don't think has ever left Japan has a regularly published collection of art that unfortunately goes for pretty hefty prices, and they're not that big of books, sadly. And then the rest of it, we have some original works in the back of this. Interesting thing about the Fate work, I'll show you guys in a sec. Black has definitely, like many, in the doujin scene and kind of card game scene, done their fair share of Fate artwork. And while some of it is a bit cheesecakey at times, I gotta say most of it is done quite nicely. That is definitely Wii Cross. Wii Cross is one I probably should talk about. I actually own all the books at this point, which is a hefty amount. Wii Cross is, I want to say, Tomy, or Takara Tomy these days, puts it out, but it's an all-girl card game. And I mean, yes, some of the card art has them incredibly scantily clad, and we're already getting into Duel Masters territory. I'm like, I know that card. I have mentioned many times on this channel that I am a big fan of the ridiculous dragon designs in a lot of these card games, and thankfully the mechs as well. Our friend Lack here is responsible for more than their fair share. Big, strong, ridiculous-looking dragons. I will never tire of them. These are Vanguard ones, though. Sadly, having so many of these types of books, you see a lot of similarities in the artwork over time. I know some of these Lord of Vermilion illustrations are like the big spot ones that they have, double-page spreads in the book. Sadly, they're not double-page spreads in this. Like scantily clad women, it must be a Square Enix card game. And like when we have these big full-page art pieces. This is a Chain Chronicle character. I do not remember them. Chain Chronicle, I don't even know if we've ever had it officially in the US or a global release. I'm not sure who that is supposed to be, but that is a Three Kingdoms era figure, if you say so. I say some of this looks more like light novel style artwork. Interesting as we get some black and white stuff in here too. Character looks familiar, but it doesn't ring a bell exactly. Sky Galleon. Don't know. So as we head to the back of the book, we get into some of the original pieces, which is always kind of neat to see. I tend to enjoy these kind of compositions just because there's a lot more going on, a lot more complex, whereas, you know, a lot of the card artwork that we tend to see is very much, you know, the focus is on whatever the main centerpiece is. So it's kind of nice to see something breaking away from that every now and then, or just having a bit of variety in the background. And I mean, I'm absolutely skipping now. What's interesting is I know this was the cover of a different book. This is from Black Book Black. And then I believe this one, yep, is Black Book Milk. Surprised those are in here. So, that is that. And if you're in the market for more, this is the second book titled RPG, just to make it even more obnoxious to try to track down. Does seem to be the same character minus the hat as the first book. Also from Hobby Japan, also with the same price point and much the same layout. So whatever didn't show up in the first book is more than likely going to be in this one. And again, very similar stuff. Some of the same RPG. It's good at did designs for that? Didn't know that. Some interesting stuff that I even don't recall seeing. Like those I recognize. That is 100% Vanguard stuff. I love the colors and just the craziness of what's going on in these pictures. And the unfortunate thing is, you know, when you have these as cards and they're shrunk down to like this big, you know, it really doesn't get to let the art speak for itself, unfortunately. Buddy Fight had some wild looking dragons. I don't know who did the initial designs, but I know quite a few artists did some that were similar to that one page I was on previously. That is a Fire Emblem piece. I don't recognize who that's supposed to be. I always like this one. This is a construction card from that Wii Cross. Yeah, it's a little bit over the top, but it's still kind of fun. That is a Magic card. Sarkon. It's kind of interesting when you see, now I know that was one of the Three Kingdoms games. One of the Sengoku games. There's just a lot of fun stuff here. Character designs. Artwork, okay. It's like, is that what I thought it was? Yes, it was. I don't recall seeing any Kirby art in there before, but hey, again, half the fun is finding something new in these. So that is the second book. And just to wrap things up soon, I told you guys I'd find something funky and fun that I think is a little bit more obscure. And that is Flagment's Full Order. This is a third book, and this is actually a self-published doujinshi book. It is a collection of all of Lack's Fate artwork. So some of the pieces that you might have seen in the previous two books are actually going to be included in this. And the cover is a lot thinner, unfortunately, because obviously this is all self-published. And there are no ISBNs or barcodes, obviously, because the only way to get a hold of these is going this route and contacting the artist directly, or picking it up from places like Booth or Alice Books or Toranora or whatever your, Dojin site of choice is that doesn't specialize in all kinds of trashy, lurid sex stuff. Of which, I might add, having to dig through some of that, there are volumes of. You get some looks sometimes, unfortunately. I mean, I'm a fairly normal looking guy, I think. But some of the other people that tend to be frequenting the Dojin self-published areas of various stores don't necessarily fall within that same realm. And yeah, but no, it's all good. There's nothing truly, more risque than anything that's already in these games. If you've played any Fate, you will probably recognize a lot of these characters. I mean, I know I certainly do. I don't know if these were ever officially published in a card game or anything. But it is kind of always cool to see a well-developed artist who can really, make these characters kind of come to life. I do prefer when there's a bit more of a background. I was going to say, those are some of my characters I like to use. I have been hoarding gems, quartz, whatever you want to call it, in Fate for Kenshin and Shingen, which thankfully are finally coming out in the US. So yeah, a lot of fun stuff. A lot of well-developed ladies in this book, which I'm sure if you're a Fate person, you're aware of. Maybe not as exciting for me. I do tend to, unfortunately, like the monsters a bit more. Okay. But still a nice little oddball release as well. There are actually quite a few other little books that LAC has put out, but I'd say if you're interested in any of the stuff, the availability of the palette and RPG books are probably going to be a lot easier to come by. And honestly, you're probably going to be able to get these two for a better price point than the Fate stuff as well. There were originally, I want to say, 3 of these, the Flagments. So what you want is full order. If you're really going to go hunting, that's going to be the collected version. The individual ones, I want to say, like I said, are 3, unless they do a new one, which you never know. These books, honestly, you probably could find them if you really do a lot of hunting online or in Japan for around 1,000 yen or something. So keep your eyes out. If you like this kind of art, I think you're going to have a lot of enjoyment out of it, because I know I certainly have, and hopefully we'll have plenty more of that kind of art in the future as well, because that is one thing that I certainly enjoy. So, with that said, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures, saying thanks for watching, and we'll see you back here soon. Bye-bye!